వక్రతుండ మహాకాయ సూర్యకోటి సమప్రభా నిర్విఘ్నం కురు మే దేవ సర్వకార్యేషు సర్వదా. శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. శ్రీమాత్రే నమః. నమస్తే ఎవ్రీవన్. ఇన్ టుడేస్ సెషన్ we will review the nama Swaadhena Vallabha. Swaadhena Vallabha. There are different ways to interpret this nama. Let's look at the first way to enjoy this nama. Vallabham. Vallabham means great affection. Ambaal is very affectionate wife. Swa means to her special consort, to her husband. Adinam means to be in his grace always. So Swadhena Vallabha means Ambaal is very affectionate to be in the grace of Lord Sri Parameshwara. That's the first way of looking at this Nama. Ambaal is very affectionate to Parameshwara. Ambaal is Pathivratha and always looking forward to expressing her affection to Parameshwara. In fact, they say that Ambaal's tongue is so red because she always keeps chanting Siva Nama, Shiva, 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 Shiva. So her tongue is so red, it seems. That's how much she loves to chant her husband's Nama. So she has great affection, Vallabham, towards her consort, Parameshwara. So Ambaal is Swadhena Vallabha. The usual interpretation of this nama is that they use an example. What they say, the example they say is the warmth produced by a fire. If we go and sit near a fire, the warmth that comes out of it, it cannot exist on its own without the actual fire. The fire is actually dependent on the wood or some substance that can take it. And then only the warmth will come and we can feel the warmth. Like that, goddess is dependent on Lord as her Adharam. Just like the fire needs some substance, right? The wood or something that can take it. The heat of the fire cannot exist on its own. Hence, Ambaal is dependent on Lord is an interpretation that is usually made. But Bhashyam says that is not how this Nama should be interpreted, because there's a very special message conveyed in that they both are very affectionate to each other. It's not that one is dependent on other. They both are independent, yet very affectionate to each other. That's how the Bhashyam wants to look at this Nama. Um, Bhashyam says for the Vallabha, Lord Shiva is Vallabha. Lord Shiva is very affectionate. Hence, Ambaal binds Lord Parameshwara with her ardent love. The Paraspara Dambadya is portrayed here, that they both are very affectionate towards each other. So, Bhashyam says Ambaal is the one that keeps Lord in her vasam. Hence, she is called Swadhena Vallabha. In fact, Lord proves this to say that he needs Ambaal for all of his actions. In Soundarya Lahari, Acharya conveys the same concept. Na khalu kuśalaḥ Spanditum api. The very first shloka, Acharya says, Na khalu kuśalaḥ. Lord Parameshwara is not even able to spanditumapi, make a moment. Spandana means a small moment. Yeah, everything is in a frozen state. If Lord Parameshwara has to move, that spandana shakti, that movement is happening only because of that. From that bindu, all the 9 avaranas, all the universe manifests from that, right? Even for that spandanam, the very first, the moment, a small moment to happen, Parameshwara is not able to move without Ambaal. So his movement is possible only with Ambaal, says Acharya also in Soundarya Lahari. Na khalu kuśalaḥ Spanditum api. Without Ambaal, Lord is not even able to move. That's so with great affection, as Ambaal's Vallabhar, Swadhena Vallabha, as Ambaal's Vallabhar, Parameshwara wants Ambaal to administer the entire universe. He says, I cannot move anything in the universe unless you come. You are the one that takes care of everything. Lord gives all the spandanam, all that, everything that happens as manifestation in the universe to Ambaal. So that is how Lord as Parameshwara showers his affection on Ambaal. So if you see the Nama, Swadhena Vallabha, Swayam, Adhinam, exercising control over one's own Vallabhar, very affectionate husband. Sri Lalitambika has her husband in her vasam because Parameshwara says, you are the Spandana Shakti. You are the moment, the very moment in me. So, oh Devi, you make everything move. So, in the auspicious city of Madurai, Goddess Sri Meenakshi is the supreme and empress of the entire universe. Because Parameshwara, out of his great affection, has said that Ambaal is the Spandanam. Ambaal makes everything move in this universe. So, Ambaal is the empress, supreme empress. She is Shri Maharagni. So Ambaal. So if you see this Nama in the Sloka, it says Shiva Kameshwarangasta Shiva Swaadhena Vallabha. And Ambaal as Shiva has Shiva in her Swayam Adhinam, hence Swadhina Vallabha. Because of her great affection, she has bound Parameshwara, that Parameshwara himself says, you are the one that has to make everything move. So you are uh, the the change that we see everywhere in this universe. All the manifestations that we see is all because of Ambal. So that is how Lord expresses his Vallabham, his affection to goddess. So as we can see, Ambar keeps chanting Shiva Nama always to show her affection to Lord. Lord says, I'm not going to move anything. That Spandanam is you. So he showers his affection to Ambal. So Vasanyadi Vagdevata here in this Nama Swaadhena Vallabha showcases them very many affectionate ways where Shiva and Shakti shower their support each other, and hence Ambal's anugraham from this Nama is considered to strengthen the relationship between husband and wife. That's the power of this Nama Swaadhena Vallabha. Let's see some examples from Bhashyam. The first example quoted is about Goddess Rukmani. Goddess Rukmani prays to Ambal. As we know, she's waiting to marry, to get her beloved Vallabhar. Who is Goddess Rukmani's beloved Vallabhar? Affectionate husband is Lord Krishna. So Rukmani Devi is wanting to marry her beloved Vallabha. So who grants the blessings of getting their Vallabhas? It's Swadhina Vallabha. Is she? Lalitambika as Swadhina Vallabha is the only one that is capable of bestowing the Vallabhars of very special couple. So here, when Goddess Rukmini prays to Ambal, Ambal as Swadhina Vallabha brings Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna comes and marries Rukmini Devi. So Goddess Rukmini, by praying to Ambala Swadhina Vallabha, gets her beloved Vallabhar, Lord Sri Krishna. So that is one example. And then Bhashyam also quotes another story from Devi Bhagavata Purana, where Ambal blesses Sukanya Devi to get back her beloved Vallabhar, Maharishi Chavana Maharishi. So this is the second example that Bhashyam quotes. It's the story of Sukanya Devi and Chavana Maharishi. So Chavana Maharishi is the son of Bhrigu Maharishi. Uh, Chavana Maharishi is a very great tapasvi. So Tejasvi Chavana Maharishi, he does great tapas. In his intense tapas, he forgets the outside world, that his whole body is covered by an ant hill. His entire form is not even visible, it is completely covered by an ant hill. Just this, his eyes alone are visible here. But even then, he is in a deep state of tapas. So he's completely covered as an ant. Like it looks as if it is an ant hill. That is how intense this tapasvi does the tapas. So he is in a kingdom, and that kingdom is ruled by King um, Sharyati. Sharyati, the king Sharyati, is an honest and a sincere ruler. He had a very beautiful daughter. Her name was Sukanya. So the king, Sharyati, along with his queen and his daughter, they decide to spend some good time in the nature. So they come to this forest. In the forest, when they were all camping, Sukanya, the daughter, she was very curious to see this ant hill. And she goes and sees, and there are two spots that are very shining like gem. See, Tapasvi's tejas is shining, right? It is shining with great tejas. Sukanya is very interested. What is this that's shining with great tejas here? So she chose to poke the two spots with a stick. Okay, these parts are the eyes of Chavana Maharishi. Recollect, Chavana Maharishi is inside this ant hill, right? And the eyes are shining with great tejas. And these are not just any spot. When Sukanya poked the eyes of Chavana Maharishi, from the eyes of Chavana Maharishi, blood starts oozing out. Seeing this, Sukanya is extremely frightened. And she ran from that place and she runs to her father, the king, to tell about what has happened. King Sharyati, as we know, is a very sincere king. So he hears this and he comes rushing out of his place wherever he was camping, and he comes to see this place. He sees the ant hill. From the ant hill he can see Shavana Maharishi. His eyes are oozing with blood, so the king is very shaken. But he sincerely comes to Shavana Maharishi and begs for forgiveness. And because it is their family's mistake, king says, I'm going to give my daughter in marriage to the Chavana Maharishi. And Sukanya is also a very sincere woman. So she also felt very guilty that she went and poked the great Tapasvi's eyes. So she also agreed to marry. So Sukanya, who's young and very beautiful, is now she has now married the age old Shavana Maharishi, because she felt that it is her mistake that she poked the eyes of the Maharishi and that he is no longer able to see. So the young woman has now married a very old sage. Okay. But Sukanya was very sincere and a honest wife. Even though she was young and beautiful, she always attended to all the needs of her husband. So one day, Ashwini Kumaras, who are the physicians of the gods, they see this young Sukanya. Oh, this young girl is married to this old man. So let's go and ask her to marry us. So they both come from the sky and they say, hey, we are Ashwini Kumaras. We want to marry you. Why are you married to this old man? But Sukanya was a Pativratha. She stayed true to Shavana Maharishi. Even though he was old, even though he was blind, Sukanya said, no, don't even come near me. Please go. I am the wife of Chavana Maharishi, and I am a Pativrata. Please don't disturb me, says Sukanya. Seeing Sukanya to be such a great Pativrata, the physicians Ashwini Kumaras decide to help the couple. So what they do is they took Shravana Maharishi to take a holy dip. They are the physicians of the gods, right? Ashwini Kumaras. So they prepare a special medicine. That's the one that's called Shavan Prash. They made a special Ayurvedic medicine, and they made a pond and they put the medicine in that, and they made this age old sage to take a dip in that pond. Now, what happened? The age old Shavana Maharishi, who was blind, has now come out after taking the bath, has come young, and is able to see again, because they have given a holy dip in that very specially prepared medicine. Now, that is a very happy occasion, isn't it? Because Shavana Maharishi has now become young, just like Sukanya. He is also young, and he's got his eyesight also back, thanks to Ashwini Kumaras. So the story didn't stop there though. Here is the next big test to Sukanya. When Chavana Maharishi came out, the two Ashwini Kumaras disguised themselves exactly like Maharishi Chavanar. So it's not one Chavana Maharishi that came out. There are three people. Two of them are the Ashwini Kumaras who are disguised. So three people exactly looking like the same came out of the pond. So now Sukanya is always, she was a Pativrata even before, when he could not see, when he was old. Now she is very happy, but she does not want to make a mistake of choosing somebody incorrectly. So she has the tough job of identifying her husband from the three of them. So what did Sukanya do? Who is there to do our rescue always? Ambala Swaadhena Vallabha. If Vallabha means affection. If a wife has very great affection to her husband, Ambal will come and show a way always to keep the husband and wife united. So Sukanya prays to Ambal, who is a Swaadhena Vallabha. Ambaal, being the greatest Pativrata, helps every woman to live happily with her husband. Ambala Swadhina Vallabha now gives wisdom to Sukanya. Sukanya has to see which of these three who is the right person, and Sukanya has to pick the right person. So Ambaal's grace as Swadhina Vallabha Ambal gives that wisdom to identify the husband among three. With Ambal's help, Sukanya identifies her husband correctly. So, with Ambal's blessings, Chavana Maharishi and Sukanya Devi, they both live happily ever after. Hence, the Phalan of this Nama is that it strengthens the relationship between husband and wife. So we have to keep chanting Swadhena Vallabha, Swadhena Vallabha, Swadhena Vallabha. And Ambaal bestows great intimacy between husband and wife in this Nama. Now, Ashwini Kumaras also gives this Ayurvedic medicine to Chavana Maharishi that made him young and that made him gain his eyesight, right? So that medicine is what is called as Chavan Prash. We may not know Chavan Maharishi, but if we recollect Chavan Prash, the Ayurvedic medicine, we should know from now onwards that Chavan Prash was indeed named after Chavana Maharishi. So Chavana Maharishi is somebody who's a great tapasvi that we all have to remember, and we also should know that the origin of the Chavan Prash came forth only because of that special medicine that Ashwin Kumaras gave to Chavana Maharishi. From Chavana Maharishi came Chavan Prash. Since Ashwini Kumaras helped the Maharishi to become youthful, Chavana Maharishi in turns helps the Ashwini Kumaras to get a share in the yajna that was previously denied by Indra. So Chavana Maharishi also blesses the Ashwini Kumaras. So the concept is here conveyed in Bhashyam is that Ambala Swadhena Vallabha helped Sukanya Devi lived happily with Maharishi Chavanar. So Ambal, that's the Phalan of this Nama as Swadhena Vallabha. Vallabha, affection. Whoever has great affection, the Ambal comes and protects and helps and strengthens the relationship of husband and wife. Now, this Nama Swadhena Vallabha has another very special thing to note. Vallabha Shabdam, Vallabham. Vallabham refers to Vallabha Ganapati. Vallabha Ganapati, Vallabha refers to Devi Vallabha Ambal. Vallabha Ambal sits on the lap of Sri Vallabha Ganapati. Vallabha. Vallabha means one who has great affection, great priyam. Vallabha. Vallabha is one who is very beloved. So this form of Ganapati with Vallabhambal, who grants Anandam in married life for those either seeking suitable spouse or for bestowing flourishing, peaceful married life. Vallabha Ganapati bestows such great Vallabham Anandam. That's another interpretation from this Nama Swadhena Vallabha. Vallabha refers to Vallabhambal seated on Vallabha Ganapati. There's also one more aspect. This series of Nama is about Devi's place of residence. The presiding deity of Mooladhara is Sri Ganapati. So, if we ask the question, where is Devi's place of residence? Vallabham in Ganapati is the Shakti from which everything starts, and hence Devi's place of residence as Ganapati's Shakti is Mooladhara. That's the very first chakra from where Kundalini will rise up. So that is also intended by the term Vallabha, Vallabha, Vallabha Ganapati, Vallabha Ganapati, Vallabham, Ganapati Shakti in Mooladhara. So if you see these three namas in this shloka so far, Shiva Kameshwarangasta, Shiva Swadhena Vallabha. Shiva Kameshwarangasta, Sri Lalitambika is seated on the angam, on the lap of Sri Kameshwara. This is their first place of residence. We saw this in the previous sessions. Where there is Lord, goddess is seated on him. They both reside together always. That Shiva Shakti Aikyam, that Nama very beautifully conveys. That is Shiva Kameshwarangastha. Then we, in the last session, we saw the Nama Shiva. Sri Lalitambika is Shiva. Shiva means he, Shiva resides in Shiva. Shiva and Shiva represents Nama Samyam. Nama Samyam means they have closeness in their name itself. Within Shiva, we have Shiva. So they both are together always as Ardhanarishwara. That was also Shiva Shakti Aikyam, that which brings the closeness of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva Kameshwarangastha, she's seated in the lap. Shiva also together. That was the previous Nama. In this Nama, Swaadhena Vallabha also, Vasunyadi Vagdevata states that Parvati and Parameshwara, they reside together and are always bound to each other by great affection. They are Vallabhars. And hence the Nama Swaadhena Vallabha, that bestows affectionate relationship between husband and wife. Let's all keep chanting this very divine Nama, which also brings forth the beauty of Shiva and Shakti's affection, Shiva and Shakti's Aikyam, Shiva Shakti Aikyam, Shiva Kameshwarangastha, Shiva's Aikyam, Shiva, they both are Namasamyam, that's also Shiva Shakti Aikyam. Here also, as Vallabhars to each other, showering affection on each other, they are Swadhina Vallabhars, Vallabha. Ambaal is called Swadhena Vallabha. That is this Nama. As next steps with Acharya's blessings, let's review the next Nama in Sri Lalita Sahasranama. Loka Samasta Shukino Bhavantu. Thank you so much, everyone.